We've got a lot of ground to cover tonight, so COVID cases, and especially a California bill that would establish a vaccine mandate in the state of California. But before we get to California, 6.52 million cases in Texas with over 83,000 deaths, 90,430 in Oasis County plus 1,433, 9.4% positive, 104 positive tests, 1.1 million tests have been taken in the 7-day average. 71,056 people have been hospitalized and 14,330 people in ICU. With vaccinations, it's like 70.6% with 59.7%, 17.3% and 20.4%. But doses have given in the United States with Texas, 44.1 doses been given, 17.3 million, and 59.7% of the population. In the U.S., 549 million doses of vaccine been given, 214 million people have been vaccinated, 14.9% of the population in the U.S. has been fully vaccinated. And speaking of vaccinations, the state of California 2 days ago has passed a new law which says if you're an employee you'll be mandated to get that vaccine. If not, well, let's take a look.
Lives and save with Liberty Mutual.
Into this job thinking that it was going to be easy.
Assemblymember Cecilia Aguilar Curry of Winters is prepared for pushback on a new bill she's joined other Democratic lawmakers in sponsoring.
Is there going to be challenges to this? Absolutely. But I think that we need to make sure our communities are safe.
The bill would require all businesses in California to have their employees show proof that they either have been vaccinated against COVID-19 or have a religious or medical reason not to get the shot.
I come from a really small town where we took care of our neighbors, and this is one of those things I feel like we're taking care of our neighbors.
Businesses that don't follow the law could be fined, although the bill doesn't yet say how much that would cost. Advocacy group Small Business Majority supports the bill, saying small business owners don't want to be traffic cops in debates about public safety. They're looking for a common statewide standard that disentangles them from politics and enables them to operate their business safely and predictably. But others,
other restaurants, we would probably keep that standard.
like the owner of the House of Oliver in Roseville, are against it.
This is about control, their continued grasp on control, and it's not okay. It's going to hurt small businesses, and it's going to shut restaurants down all throughout the state.
Right now, there's no mention of testing requirements for those employees who have medical or religious reasons for not getting the shot. Live at the state capitol, Liz Mitri, KCRA 3 News.
And in my opinion, it's unconstitutional. So in the meantime, we have to make sure this thing doesn't happen again. I mean, contact your congressman and say, this isn't fair, blah, 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 this and that and the other. But people are venturing out amid the COVID rates. Hospitalizations, deaths continue to decline. More Americans are feeling comfortable resuming normal activities, but many state governments are also lifting the COVID-19 restrictions. That's some very good news. So, let's look.
Now to the pandemic and COVID cases that are in steep decline across the country. The death rate is down slightly as well, though the U.S. is still losing about 2,200 people a day. CBS's Lilia Luciano is in Los Angeles with more. Lilia, good evening.
Good evening to you, Nancy. Well, with Omicron finally retreating, the masks are finally coming off in many parts of the country, and we as a nation are shifting away from that COVID crisis mode. Wall-to-wall crowds in New Orleans this weekend, all celebrating the return of Mardi Gras after COVID canceled festivities last year.
Good time to be out with family and to enjoy it without COVID. No masks, freedom.
America's new optimism is fueled by the sharp drop in cases and hospitalizations. Yet 95% of Americans still live in a high-risk area for infection.
They feel like it's going to be around no matter what.
That live with it sentiment now echoed by the governors of California and Utah. They're shifting their response from a pandemic to endemic.
Let me be clear that this is not the end of COVID, but it is the beginning of treating COVID as we do other seasonal respiratory viruses.
The CDC still recommends universal masking, yet every state but Hawaii has ended or is planning to lift mask mandates. That drastic drop in cases is motivating Americans to dine out, travel, and hit theme parks once again. California lifted its indoor mask mandate last week, but here in LA County, you can only take off your mask if you're outdoors. The indoor requirement will remain in place for several weeks. Nancy?
Lilia Luciano in Los Angeles tonight. Thank you.
And that's some great news. Until they wait to make sure we're vaccinated. Vaccinated, masks, very important. Hand washing, sanitization. If you're riding transportation, it's basically the same thing. If you're in school, basically wipe down your area with disinfectant wipes. Study the cases and watch it like a hawk, like I always do. Medical conditions, let them know. If you have religious beliefs, medical issues, can't get the vaccine, just let them know about that. Alright, like I said, we got a lot to cover tonight. Later on, there is new questions in the death of Bob Saget. Just a few days ago before his death, on the podcast, he's now planning his death. Did that spark? Was that the reason why he was dead? And answers from social media from Candace Cameron Brew. But next, the father of the survivor of Oakland shooting spoke out to Click on Detroit about what had happened. We're going to tell you what he had to say, what had happened, and why he's still suing the school district when we come back. Turning on to Oxford, the father of the Oxford shooting spoke out to Click on Detroit, talking about what had happened ever since. He said the system failed on that day. Tate Marie's son.
A family heartbroken, grieving the loss of their son Tate, one of 4 students killed in the Oxford school shooting last November. They're now working through their loss by trying to help other young people. Tate Mears' father opening up to our Sandra Ali about his son Tate, who he says was a great person who always put others first.
And they have found a way to honor him with 42 strong. Sandra Ali joins us with more. And Sandra, you talked with Tate's father about the foundation, but also his thoughts about Ethan Crumbly and his parents.
Yeah, that's right, Devin and Kimberly. You know, as you can imagine, he's going through a wide range of emotions right now. He wants someone held accountable for the 4 students killed that tragic day. But he also says he owes it to Tate to try to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Parts of the Oxford High School building were remodeled before students went back a few weeks ago. But when the doors opened and life moved on for some, there are 4 students who'll never be coming back.
And everything came to a screeching halt in one day. You know, there's a build-up, with our oldest boy Trent, graduation's coming, last football game, and then last wrestling match, and then, there's a build-up, it's coming, right? And same with Ty. And Tate, we still had a half a year plus a full year, right? So there were so many more memories to be made. And just like that, it's over. We have no more memories to make.
Buck Meir wants someone held accountable for the death of his son Tate and his fellow classmates. Ethan Crumbly is charged in connection with the shooting, and so are his parents, Jennifer and James.
Are you angry at the Crumbleys?
I don't like to use their name, but the shooter did not have very good mentors. It's obvious what we've all read and learned, right? So yeah, obviously they're part of the puzzle, no doubt. I mean, they didn't take any time with him. They were out doing their thing, and he's doing his thing, and they've got a weapon that they just bought, and they know that he's not in a good state of mind, and they should have a pulse on that as parents, and they didn't. They don't care, right? So yeah, I'm angry at them, for sure.
If they were here now, would you have something you'd want to say to them?
I don't know. It's a great question. I'll see him someday, and I'll say it, but I don't know what I'll say. It'll come from my heart, because that's the kind of person I am. When it comes to November 30th, you know, something went wrong, right? And there needs to be accountability. There has to be accountability, because that's how change happens.
That's why he says he started 42 Strong, a nonprofit in honor of Tate to mentor students who need support, like suspected shooter Ethan Crumbley.
This kid was raising his hand all day long.
Crying out for help.
Crying out for help. Now, he didn't just come out and say, "Hey, I need help," but look at the stuff that's out there. He was raising his hand, right? And parents did nothing about it, and school did nothing about it.
So the system failed him.
The system failed him. Failed everybody that day, right? So how can we change that? Like, we need to start making this mental health thing a priority. The kid had nothing. He had zero purpose in his life. That's why November 30th happened. He had zero purpose.
Buckmeyer says it's too soon to decide if he's going to attend the criminal trial. For now, he's taking it one day at a time.
Okay, so he gets tried as an adult, and he gets prosecuted, and he's in for life. And the parents, okay, they get a life sentence, whatever. It doesn't matter. Tate's not coming home. Do I want there to be justice? Yes. Do I want them to walk? No. But at the end of the day, Tate's not coming home.
And at this point, Tate's father says it's too far out to make any firm decisions like you heard about a trial. He says at this point, they're just focused on the foundation, 42 Strong, and really just getting from one day to the next without their son. By the way, our entire interview lasted more than an hour, and you can watch the extended conversation with Tate Mears' dad online. It's on our website. Back to you.
It's heartbreaking. And Sandra, it's such a difficult conversation to have. I know it was long. What struck you the most from what he had to say?
You know, a number of things, Kimberly. There's nothing you can say that could ever comfort someone who has lost a child, obviously, but it speaks volumes about his love for his son, for him to be able to find the courage to be brave enough to open up like that in the hopes that he can inspire some kind of change down the road.
Yeah.
So well composed, but you know he's just been boiling inside over all of this. Yeah, really great. All right, Sandra.
I'm not going to play the extended interview because we probably know what happened. We know about the trial. I'm not going to spoil everything, but if you guys want to watch the interview, we'll have the link in the description. As well as on our Give Me a Break website, jcover67.wixsite.com/givemeabreak. Well, like that happened, Mardi Gras came back. It was canceled years ago because of COVID. So I'm really happy that everybody got back to the Mardi Gras. So that was good. Now to a story. Remember last year about the big freeze? Well, there was a no refund for this man. He owed over $9,000 of electric bill from that February freeze. Here's Seth Kovar.
Freeze caused that bill to soar.
Our Seth Kovar caught up with that man today to see if he has been able to get any of that money back.
So here's Seth Kovar.
We were one of the few, or unfortunate in our case, people that didn't lose their electricity.
That's right. The power stayed on at Randy Thatch's home in Rockport as millions of Texans dealt with rolling blackouts last February. But that was actually a bad thing for them.
They were charging $250 to my credit card every hour, which was pretty traumatic.
And the hours below freezing kept ticking by.
We ended up with a $9,000 electric bill.
But why did it get that high?
The demand on the state's power grid was tremendous, with so many people struggling to heat their homes during the deep freeze. That's why the price for wholesale electricity was maxed out, the highest possible level to encourage power generating companies to generate power. The problem for Thatch is the rate he pays for his electricity was tied to that price.
It's not anymore. Thatch switched to a company with a fixed rate as quickly as possible. His old company, Gritty, filed for bankruptcy and then agreed to let its customers with inflated bills off the hook for paying them. But like Thatch said, the charges were hitting his credit card from automatic bill pay, and now his only hope for a refund is through Gritty's bankruptcy court.
I'm hopeful, but I think the chances are slim to none, probably.
So far, he hasn't seen a dime from Gritty, but he actually considers himself one of the lucky ones. There are thousands of other Gritty customers with very high bills who don't have the means to pay them.
We had savings that we could pay it. I'm sure there's people still paying on credit cards and had to file bankruptcy and everything else.
If Thatch ever gets a refund, we'll be sure to let you know about it. Seth Kovar, Chris 6 News.
And it probably won't ever happen again. If you get problems with this during the big freeze, you need to file suit. But we probably don't know whether he's getting that refund. We'll let you know. Well, next, there's now new developments in Bob Saget's death. The podcast could give us some clues. But did it happen? Judge for yourself when we come back. A 2-year-old was locked into the daycare center without supervision. But what happened next stunned his mother. Here's Les Trent. Because locking someone in the daycare without any supervision, that's dangerous for a child. Locking them out, and it's locking them in the daycare, leaving them out. It's like, your mom's not coming? Okay, we'll lock you in and go sleep in. Here's Les Trent.
A 2-year-old girl hearing out from her daycare center. It's dark, and it's locked. She's all alone. The toddler had been left behind when the daycare closed up for the night. Her mom, Stephanie Martinez, understandably freaked out. She was just 15 minutes late picking up her daughter, Ani.
She managed to push a chair next to the door to stand on it and call for my name. And that was the only reason I was able to see her, is because she's shorter than the door. Ani, I'm coming, okay?
Mom called 911. The operator couldn't believe it.
She's inside by herself? Yeah, she's crying. She's inside by herself.
Okay, honey. How old is your child?
She's 2. She's only 2.
Gosh.
I'm coming, baby. Okay? I'm coming.
When firefighters got there, they broke down the door. In a statement, the daycare center said, "Nothing is more important to us than the safety of the children in our care. We'll also take immediate steps to ensure this kind of thing doesn't happen again." A little late for one terrified child.
She's inside by herself.
Poor little kid. The daycare center says all of their staff will now be retrained on proper child supervision.
Exactly. And even when Latchkey was here. I'm not gonna even go there. Turning down to Bob Saget. We still don't know what caused Bob Saget's death, but we have been given a look into the podcast lately that he announced his death. Did that raise any alarms to the Full House cast? As you're about to hear, from that podcast, there is new testimony. There is new evidence that may be connected to this death. Take a look.
Did Bob Saget have a premonition about how he would die?
He made this haunting prediction during his podcast last October.
I'm going to be found dead in bed.
3 months later, the 65-year-old actor was discovered dead in his bed at the Ritz-Carlton in Orlando. Saget made the comment while chatting with his wife, Kelly Rizzo, for his podcast, which was taped in their home in Los Angeles.
How are you in the other room?
I'm good. I'm good here in our lovely dining room in front of our lovely fireplace.
The very personal episode featured the couple chatting about their relationship, including their 23-year age gap.
I was wrestling with it a lot, and that's why you thought I didn't like you, because I kind of didn't want to like you, because I thought it was a very, like, what are my friends going to think? What's my family going to think? I'm with somebody that's so much older.
Kelly went on to give a list of her favorite movies as they talk about how they love to snuggle up in bed. And that's when he made that eerie prediction.
So I don't have long to live if these are your favorites. I'm going to be found dead in bed.
You better watch out.
That probably came true. But yet we still don't know what caused the death, but the documents are sealed up and confidential. We still don't know, but we still probably don't know what the cast of Full House has to say about their Full House, but they will probably watch that podcast and find out more. Even if it was true. Even if it was true, what could Bob Saget fatally hit his head on? Here's what the doctor
China
has to say.
is the greatest.
So take a look at what this doctor has to say.
The news that Bob Saget died from a massive head injury is hitting home for this stand-up comic. 51-year-old Heather McDonald was performing for a sold-out crowd when she suddenly became dizzy.
So nice.
You can hear the sickening thud as her head hits the floor. Her injuries were eerily similar to Saget's: a fractured skull, brain bleed, even black eyes. The big difference, she was taken to the ER.
I have a fracture in my skull and I had some bleeding on the brain. And the trauma for the back of the brain will oftentimes cause 2 black eyes.
Having suffered similar injuries here, do you think Bob Saget would have lived if he wasn't alone in his hotel room?
If Bob had gone to the hospital, I think he would have lived.
How Bob Saget suffered that one fatal blow to the back of his head remains a mystery. The medical examiner says it was due to a fall backwards. But today, there's a new theory emerging. As Bob Saget returned to his hotel at 2:17 in the morning, it's possible he could have banged his head on the frame of his car or on the lid of his trunk. After all, Bob Saget was 6'5", so you could see how he could hit his head in such a way. There are also several places in his hotel room where he might have struck his head in a slip and fall. A marble table, a wooden desk, shower fittings, or the tile floor. Some experts are questioning the autopsy findings today.
There is no hotel room I've ever stayed in that would allow for a fall significant enough to cause this kind of head injury. This is the kind of injury that might occur from a traffic accident, might occur from an assault, might occur from a fall down a flight of stairs.
Head trauma specialist Dr. Robert Duarte studied the autopsy report. This wasn't just a little bump on the head, right?
Exactly. There were fractures in the base of the skull, in the occipital region, the temporal region. There was also fractures in the front, above the eye, on both sides of the skull.
So even though we're hearing he hit his head on the back of his head, it caused fractures in 3 places, even the front.
Exactly.
The police investigation is now closed, so the mystery may never be solved.
Unlike John Benet Ramsey. Such a sad thing to report on. So now we know. We know that he predicted his death on the broadcast, but still don't know what happened. What could he hit his head on? It's like John Benet Ramsey all over again. I'll be back in a moment. Coming up on Monday, buffet freakouts for those crab legs. And also, are you getting lobster? Are you really getting lobster? there are tests that can prove that you may not be getting lobster. You'll see the tests, and you can judge for yourself whether it's lobster or not lobster. And we'll also cover the trial for the Oxford criminal trial for James and Jennifer Crumbley and possibly Ethan. And we'll probably see if the father's going to be there, who spoke out to click on Detroit. What will he have to say if he sees them? We'll find out soon. That's all for this edition of Give Me Break Saturday. See you again for Give Me Break Monday. For all of us here at YouTube, good night.